In Hollywood, there's this fundamental truth, isn't there? The more you try to hide, the more valuable that eventual reveal becomes. It's almost like currency.
Totally. And when you're talking about a couple as, well, intensely watched as Cameron Diaz and Benji Madden, their silence, it just builds this incredible pressure.
Like this white-hot pressure, yeah. And the media just can't wait for that crack.
But here's the thing. When they do finally speak, they don't just give the media what it thinks it wants.
Yeah.
They offer something smarter, controlled authenticity.
Right. So a tiny detail, something almost mundane, like a 5-year-old's favorite band, suddenly becomes international news. It changes the whole narrative.
Exactly.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling that big question. How did Benji and Cameron actually outsmart Hollywood? We're going to dissect what we're calling the Diaz-Madden doctrine. It's this strategic, almost decade-long plan they've used. And they've managed to turn privacy itself into their biggest public asset. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Our mission today is really to look past just the headline comment. We want to understand the framework. What made that single, seemingly casual comment so unbelievably powerful, and how did they manage to, condition the press? So the press celebrates these rare bits of info instead of scrutinizing them.
Okay, let's ground this. Start with the core fact, the one that kind of tells you everything. This all happened back in November 2025. And when the news broke, literally every major outlet described Benji's comment the same way. A rare comment, a rare update. The story wasn't what he said, really. The story was how rare it was for him to say anything at all.
And that rarity, that intense scarcity of information, that is completely by design. You have to look at the setting. This wasn't like some big sit-down interview or a glossy magazine exclusive.
Yeah.
Benji Madden was on Trackstar. It's a music knowledge series, runs on TikTok, also as a podcast. He was there with his twin brother, Joel Madden. Good Charlotte.
Right, so the platform choice itself is genius. It immediately puts Benji in his natural habitat, musician, pop-punk guy, not celebrity husband or famous dad. It creates this space where a casual comment feels way less performative, more genuine.
That's exactly it. The whole vibe was casual, professional expertise. They were talking music history. And the prompt was that 2007 Paramore song, Misery Business.
Okay. And Joel Madden reacts first, right? He calls Hayley Williams a star.
Yeah, and that little moment, that professional praise, seems to be the natural opening for Benji. He connects his music world to his home life, just for a second.
So what did he actually say?
He says, and this is the quote people picked up, "I have a daughter and she's just getting into playing her stuff and whatever." And then confirms, 5-year-old Raddix loves Paramore.
Okay.
Then the host jumps in, asks if she likes Taylor Swift, and Benji's like, yep, immediately confirms that too.
That detail alone is interesting, but the part that really landed, the bit that made them seem, human, was the follow-up anecdote, the parenting dilemma.
Yes, the totally relatable moment. Benji mentioned they'd actually opted out of taking her to Taylor Swift's Eras tour because, and again, quoting here, they felt she was a little young.
And that decision, right, debating whether your 5-year-old is ready for a massive stadium show, that's the kind of thing every parent gets, celebrity or not. It completely cuts through the usual Hollywood fantasy stuff.
And if you analyze the actual music choices, they aren't random either. It's what you might call like strategic normalization.
How so?
Well, Paramore connects directly to Benji's own pop-punk roots. It's like passing down his musical heritage.
Okay, makes sense. Heritage. And Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift is. She's the cultural signifier for a girl that age right now. It's inescapable.
So by naming those two artists, they basically paint Raddix as universally relatable. She's not some weird, sheltered Hollywood kid.
Exactly. She's just a normal child with, frankly, incredibly mainstream and recognizable taste in music for 2025.
So this whole little exchange, just a couple of minutes, it offers this glimpse of sincerity, but it's wrapped in a professional chat about music.
Yeah, it works because it answers that big, unspoken question the public has. Are they, normal behind the scenes? And the answer they subtly provided was a clear yes.
This definitely wasn't a slip-up. You can feel the intention. This small moment, it's part of a much bigger long-term strategy. And understanding its power means we need to really break down this Diaz-Madden doctrine, codify the rules that make any info about them so valuable.
Right. You can't really get the payoff, the why now, without understanding the architecture they've built around their private life. Their strategy isn't just about staying quiet. It's this active, multi-pronged effort to control every single piece of family info that ever sees the light of day.
Okay, let's break down these pillars. Pillar 1 of the Diaz-Madden doctrine, Total visual anonymity. This is their ironclad, absolutely non-negotiable rule. No pictures of the kids, ever. Not of Raddix, not of their son, Cardinal.
And it wasn't just some, private understanding between them. They made it public. When Cardinal was born, the announcement explicitly said the photo ban was for the kids' safety and privacy.
That wording is key, isn't it? Safety. It elevates it beyond just, celebrity vanity or wanting privacy. It taps into that universal parental concern. Completely bypasses the usual tabloid arguments.
Totally. Think about other celebs who try blurring faces or suing after a picture is out. Diaz and Madden. Their approach is preemptive, absolute.
That proactive control, that leads us straight into pillar 2. Information control, specifically how they handle announcements. Post facto.
Yeah, the typical Hollywood playbook is, pregnancy rumors, the bump watch, maybe a big magazine review. They just sidestepped all of it. Twice.
Let the whole news cycle out. Raddix, born December 2019, announced January 2020. Cardinal born and announced March 2024. And the surrogacy aspect for both kids also kept completely under wraps until the announcements. They own the timing. They own the narrative, period.
And building this kind of fortress, it required a huge shift from one half of the couple. Which brings us to pillar 3. The Diaz rebrand. Cameron Diaz had to consciously, strategically pivot away from being that bona fide Hollywood it girl.
Right. That decade-long acting hiatus after Raddix arrived wasn't just a break. It felt like a total identity transformation.
Yeah.
She shifted her public persona from, massive box office star to this family-first entrepreneur, focus on the marriage, the wine company, Avalon. And doing that drastically lowered the media's expectation for traditional Hollywood mom coverage.
Absolutely. If she hadn't made that pivot, the demand for pictures, for stories about the kids, it would have been relentless, probably unsustainable. Her rebrand meant the public became more interested in her, values and her lifestyle brand, rather than just needing to see her children's faces.
Okay, if you're finding this breakdown as fascinating as we are, how they've basically engineered their fame by controlling what they don't share, make sure you're subscribed. Because we're about to dig into the most sophisticated part of their whole plan, Pillar 4, and why that recent comment wasn't manipulative, but actually pretty masterful.
Right. That brings us to Pillar 4. This is about the division of labor and how they communicate publicly. We're calling it emotional versus specific. It's a really subtle but sophisticated way they frame their narrative.
Okay, define that. What does that mean in practice?
Well, Cameron Diaz generally acts as the, let's say, chief emotions officer. When she talks about family, it's always effusive, very generalized, warm. Motherhood is the best part. She validates the feeling of the brand.
Okay, the emotional core. So where does Benji fit in?
Benji then steps in as the curator of specifics. He's the one who offers these small, concrete, but crucially non-compromising details. The details make that abstract happiness feel grounded, feel real.
But isn't there a risk there? Doesn't that verge on, manipulation? Giving just enough detail like the Paramore comment to prove the happy family brand is real, but stopping way short of anything truly revealing, like appearance or location.
It definitely walks a fine line, but I think their success lies in the type of specifics Benji gives. Think about what he shared before. Writing at least a dozen songs for Raddix, or the family having a cappella jams.
Oh, okay.
These are relational, they're creative, they speak to the activity within the family, not the kids' physical identities. He's sharing a behavior which feels less invasive than sharing an image.
Gotcha. So the Paramore comment fits that pattern perfectly. It's about shared activity, shared taste.
Precisely. It slots right into his established role.
So that brings us back to the timing. Why deploy this little pressure release valve, as you called it, now, late 2025?
Well, the general analysis, and sources like Parade sort of echo this, is that they lead with intention, not attention. Think about it. A decade of marriage, 2 kids born completely under the radar, and Diaz is slowly stepping back into acting.
Right, which naturally spikes curiosity way up again.
Exactly. The pressure, the public curiosity was likely immense. They probably felt they needed to offer something.
Okay, so satisfy the curiosity, but without breaking any of their own rules. And the platform choice, Trackstar, was the key to doing that safely.
That seems to be the strategy. Benji was there in his capacity as a musician, a pop-punk expert, not as a celebrity dad doing promo. This contextual disclosure, talking family while talking music, insulates him from criticism that he's, using his family for clicks or publicity.
And the media noticed that. They called the tone casual.
Right, but that casualness feels very much engineered by the choice of platform. It allowed for that tone.
And the media reaction afterwards really proves how successful their long-term conditioning has been, doesn't it? The language used was remarkably consistent across outlets. Refreshingly real, endearing, sweet. The whole thing was framed as this special, privileged glimpse.
They were essentially starved for information. And because of that starvation, this tiny, authentic, completely harmless piece of data felt like a huge gift. The press was conditioned to be grateful, basically. So instead of scrutiny, which might be the typical reaction, they got this wave of warm approval.
Which leads us to the ultimate paradox here, the thing that let them truly outsmart the system. Diaz's retreat from the spotlight didn't make her irrelevant. It actually created a more compelling narrative. The authentic, hidden family life. Their brand became privacy.
Exactly. And therefore, this rare comment, it didn't violate the brand at all. It actually promoted it. It reminded everyone just how private they are, which validates the value of the tiny crumb of info they shared. And at the same time, it proved why that private life seems so appealing, because it feels sincere, real, human.
And the final piece of evidence, the thing that really seals the deal on this being intentional, what the sources point out.
Yeah, the total deafening silence afterwards.
Right. No follow-up comment from Cameron, no statement from a spokesperson, nothing.
If this had been a gaffe, an accidental overshare, damage control would have kicked in immediately. You'd see clarifications, walkbacks. The lack of any reaction implies it wasn't a mistake to be managed. It was a success. A perfectly executed move, completely aligned with their long-term strategy.
Ultimately, the key lesson here for you, listening, is pretty profound. Cameron Diaz and Benji Madden have successfully rewritten the rules for high-profile celebrities. They took their absence, their silence, and turned it into their most valuable public asset. It's all down to masterful, strategic narrative management. They didn't just outsmart Hollywood. Maybe they gave us a blueprint for how others might play the game in the future by choosing not to play the traditional game at all.
You've been listening to The Deep Dive, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.